Hi, I'm BJ, and this is the Arcane Alienist Podcast.
Hey everybody, I am recording this in my car as I've got a bit of a drive ahead of me in the evening. Just coming back from a work-related conference that was a couple hours away from home, so I'm headed back home down the highway, but it is not a lot of traffic, and I can do this hands-free with my phone, so I thought I would record because I'm a little bit behind on putting something out. It's OSR October. So what better to talk about for OSR October than Swords and Wizardry? Kids played again. I'm trying to remember. I think I did an update. Yeah, I updated where we had a couple of new members join the party. The two players decided they were going to play elf siblings, a fighter, and a cleric. I am kind of fudging Swords and Wizardry a little bit to let them do, any race, could be any class. Because we kind of started the game with a different version of D&D, and so to preserve some of the characters they had created, we just fudged for that. But it's working fine. People have been house ruling that 50 years, right? And so we got that, and so the paladin who had originally been a thief character, dual classed into paladin, and I thought, this character is really under equipped in their attack power. I conspired, or to well, I guess it's not conspired. Somebody conspired with it. Just me. I'm the DM. I contrived to have this person find a holy sword that would, in their hands, give them a bonus to kind of put them on par with the fighter and the ranger that have been sort of mainstays of the party. We've really only got that. In that particular character, although they've dual classed in the paladin, it's really, of all the characters we started this campaign with, there's only 3 of them that are the original from the original group. Everybody else has swapped characters, or some of the players who have graduated and gone off to college have sort of dropped out of the game. And so people have either, we had one character death, so people have either one way or another picked up and, created a new character, or we've had just, change over in the makeup of the player group. Anyway, so we did that. That was last time. I've recapped that. So they're going on to the Moat house, where I put the big villain for this adventure. I repurposed the Moat house from the village of Omelet. It's out in the swamp. And they do notice that the black dragon that they had encountered before is following them, continues to follow them at a distance. We also had a new guy show up, new friend, one of my son's friends, who's, they've been friends for a while. I don't know why he suddenly decided he wanted to play D&D with everybody. But I have tried to make this as much of an open table as I feasibly can. If somebody shows up and wants to play, they can. So he decided to play a fighter, and so we really quickly created a fighter for him, and a human fighter, and they've all been, which I know this TV show Peacemaker is not really meant for teenagers, but it's kind of hard to stop them from watching it, So a lot of them have been watching Peacemaker. So this guy based his fighter on the version of the DC Comics, that particular iteration of the DC Comics sort of anti-hero vigilante, which has kind of been turned into almost sort of a Deadpool-esque. He's kind of silly, and it worked well because it's not a super serious campaign. So, he's a fighter who wants to find and punish villains with deadly force, and so they've encountered this guy and just sort of fold him into the group. And a couple times they've had to be like, hey man, we're not just going to kill it. We've got to interrogate people. We got to get information. We're not here to just kill everybody. They they encounter what are the bandits in the village of Hamlet version of the Moat House. And I had these guys, they're just mercenaries that the main villain has hired to keep people away. If anybody comes on the premises, the mercenaries are meant to run them off. And because they're basically based on the bandits, which are intended really for kind of first level characters, this party of 7 second to fourth level characters just curb stomped them. But they did manage it. One of them surrendered after they had kind of taken out everybody else, and the new hair guy was going to kill him. And they're like, no, we have to question him and make it very clear this guy is not evil. He's not a villain. These are just legitimate sellswords who got hired by somebody to sit here in this abandoned moat house and make sure nobody trespasses. He tells him, this very scary, creepy woman that hired us. I'll show you where the staircase is to go to the lower level, and just let me go. I'm just gonna go back home. I have no beef with you. This wasn't worth it. So if you just let me leave, I'll be okay. So they decided to let him do that, and they really didn't try to explore any of the upper level. There's some other surprises in the upper level, but mostly once you get past the bandits, it's just, I think there's a crocodile. No, there's a giant lizard. There's a giant lizard. There's a giant snake. There's, insects. They did have to fight the giant spider right as they came in the moat house. I guess I skipped that part. There's, the tower right as you go in. There's a giant spider, and it damaged the new guy pretty handily, but one of the clerics healed him up after that. Fortunately, didn't poison him. So they go down the stairs. Spoilers for the Village of Hamlet, Temple of El Millennial Moat House, if you're not familiar with it. They go to the stairs, which are, in the moat house, it's really, you kind of pass through this sort of cupboard area with shelves as you go down the stairs, and there are rats in the walls that climb out through the shelves and swarm everybody. So they managed to make it through that without too much damage, but one of the characters did fail their save and catch disease. The paladin used their lay on hands for the day to remove that disease. So they get to the basement and narrowly avoid getting getting damaged by the green slimes that drop down from the roof. And at some point, one of them is like, oh my gosh, this is there's just something around every corner. And I was like, well, Gary Gygax himself did design this particular dungeon, so it's not. It's not a cakewalk, even if you're upper level, you're going to have to deal with something constantly, probably. So they didn't. The first place they go is into the area where, there's a torture chamber and there's some cells and there's zombies in there, which of course you can't detect. It's very hard to detect them because they're quiet and they're in the shadows. Interesting enough, 2 of the characters decided they were going to stay upstairs. I don't know why. They were just, sometimes it's a big group of kids. Sometimes they wander off. And I think some of them haven't quite figured out that if you wander away from the plot, you're just going to sit there and not be real engaged because, if you go explore, you'll hit a random encounter, you'll find something. But if you just decide you're just going to camp out, not much doing, right? So while they were up there on their own, they hear this black dragon land in the courtyard, and they go out and they see it's there, and they understand, it's not hostile, but it's also doesn't seem real keen for them to come up and try to interact with it. It's just kind of curious as to what they're up to. So they did after that decide they were going to go downstairs and find their friends. So but that was enough time that had elapsed that they sort of come down right as the other ones are in the thick of this problem with zombies. So the way that works is there's a row of cells. There are zombies in the cells. It's dark down there. If you don't actually have like a lantern or a light source that you can point, it's kind of hard to see in the cells. Like even with a torch, you can hold it up and you can kind of get an outline, but because you can't aim a torch the way you can like a bullseye lantern. I ruled that, well, you can kind of see some shape. It's just, you're going to have to open the door and look in. But they managed to see the two zombies that aren't kind of at the end of the hallway, who aren't in cells, move as they started to move towards them. So they focused on those zombies. So it worked exactly the way it's supposed to. These two zombies are kind of at the end of the hall. They run up to meet the zombies. And of course, they pass by all the cell doors. And round by round, another cell door pops open and two more zombies come out. So before they know it, they are surrounded by zombies. And they're two. Of course, one of the characters who decided to stay upstairs was the cleric. They had gone all of this trouble to get clerics in the group, and then they wandered down the dungeon without one. So the cleric comes on them as they've already started to engage in battle, and one of the fighters did drop to 0 hit points. So the other fighter, the one that dropped, was a halfling. The other fighter just picked the halfling up and retreated to try to bind wounds. And we use a rule where you've got 3. I pull that as a house rule. I pulled in from Dungeon Crawl Classics. I don't think it's unique to Dungeon Crawl Classics. You got 3 rounds. If you get to 0 hit points, you got 3 rounds to bind wounds, before the person's gone for good. And so he did that, and then they start forming up on these zombies, and the zombies are hitting them pretty hard, and I'm rolling pretty well. The cleric finally gets there and turns undead, and the remaining zombies, flee back in, try to flee away, and they go back in the cells. The party's able to kind of then finish them off as they're all separated from one another and not a crowd of zombies anymore. So that is where we left off with them kind of moving into the adjacent, what was obviously used to be a torture chamber. And, now there's 2 elves in there, and they immediately find the hidden door in one of the columns, which is going to take them down to an even deeper layer beneath, which is, if you're familiar with the village of Hamlet, what is down there it's more underground caves, and sets you up for an encounter with ghouls. So that's where we left off. They're going to have to figure out how to get their one fighter back up in good shape. They didn't want to camp; they wanted to press on, and I'm trying to weigh out. Hey, you guys realize your cleric has used half of their healing spells. You've got somebody who's stable but not going to have hit points left. If you just drag her around with you, you're going to have to. It might be good to go back upstairs and camp, or set a watch. But should I let them figure that out on their own, or should I give them a hint, because they are still fairly novice players. So anyway, that's what has happened with Swords and Wizardry, and we will see what happens next time. We're probably going to get one more chance to play in October. I don't know if we might finish this out or play another round of this, or we might do a special one-shot for it's more of a horror theme or Halloween theme. We played Mortborg once now. I really liked it, so I think maybe I'll dust off Mortborg for a more horror-inspired game for him. But anyway, that is the report on my group for that. And I may or may not have more segments for this particular episode once I get home and I'm able to upload this. And, there may be some other things I have pinned in before I publish it. We'll see.
Thanks for listening to the Arcane Alienist podcast. The music you're hearing is Come and Get It by Scott Holmes Music. The cover art is by Dave Bone. Be sure to check out his stuff at ironseer.com. You can leave me a message. I have my SpeakPipe account linked to the show description. You can also send me an email at arcane.alienist@gmail.com. Just embed a voice memo, or I'll just read the text to your email during a future episode. Once again, thanks so much for listening.